What if I told you that some of the most shocking moments in sports history weren't about incredible athletic achievements, but the elaborate schemes athletes used to cheat their way to victory? From hidden motors in bicycles to fake blood capsules in rugby, the lengths some competitors will go to are mind-blowing. Today I'm taking you through the most elaborate conspiracies of athletes who thought they could outsmart the system, only to have their careers destroyed in the most public way possible. While some athletes focus on improving themselves, others refine their methods of cheating. In 2016, Belgian cyclist Femke van den Driessche became the first rider caught for mechanical doping, meaning she used a motorized bicycle for an advantage. During the 2016 Cyclo-Cross World Championships, under-23 women's race, she stopped mid-race citing bike issues. Officials inspected the bike and found wires, a battery, and a motor concealed in the crankset, which could be activated by a discrete switch. This extra boost helped her surge ahead during steep climbs with minimal effort. Van den Driessche claimed the bike belonged to her friend Nico van Mulder, but under cycling rules, riders are responsible for their equipment. She received a 6-year ban, around $21,000, and retired from professional cycling. The sophisticated setup suggested months of planning rather than a last-minute decision. At the London 2012 Olympics, badminton saw an unusual scandal, teams intentionally losing matches to gain easier opponents in later rounds. The round-robin format placed teams of similar abilities against each other, so losing early could secure a better path in the knockout stage. China's Wang Xiaoli and Yu Yang tried this tactic in the women's doubles tournament against South Korea's Jung Kyung-yoon and Kim Ha-na, who were attempting the same. The result was one of the worst matches in Olympic history, with rallies lasting only a few strokes and deliberate errors that prompted boos from the crowd. A second match between another South Korean pair and an Indonesian team revealed the same strategy. All 4 pairs were disqualified for match fixing, ending their Olympic campaigns. The controversy highlighted how world-class athletes, trained to win, ended up competing over who could lose more convincingly. At the 2019 Kentucky Derby, Maximum Security crossed the finish line first, appearing to win the prestigious race by a wide margin. Minutes later, the horse was disqualified for interference, a first in the Derby's 145-year history. During a turn, Maximum Security drifted from its lane, impeding other horses and nearly causing a pile-up. The most affected was War of Will, whose jockey had to sharply check the horse to avoid a collision. The ruling divided fans and experts. Some argued the contact wasn't severe enough to overturn the result, while others stressed that protecting the safety of horses and riders must come before the outcome of any race. In 1994, figure skating was rocked by scandal when Nancy Kerrigan was attacked the day before the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. Attack on the leg with a baton at Michigan's Cobo Arena. She was forced to withdraw, allowing rival Tonya to win the event and join Kerrigan on the Olympic team. Police later revealed the assault was planned by Harding's ex-husband Jeff Gilley and bodyguard Sean Eckert, who hired a man to injure Kerrigan. Harding denied involvement but admitted she knew afterward and failed to report it. A disciplinary panel stripped Harding of her title following the 1994 Winter Olympics, where she placed 8th after a skate malfunction. Kerrigan recovered to win silver. The incident remains one of the most infamous scandals in sports history, inspiring films, documentaries, and debate about the line between personal drama and professional competition. A University of Texas swimmer stunned the crowd by breaking the 50m backstroke world record with a 23-second finish. But officials soon ruled the swim illegal. In backstroke events, athletes must remain at the surface for most of the race, yet Hill Taylor had stayed underwater, using dolphin kicks to propel himself forward. While this technique was undeniably faster, it violated the core rules of the stroke. The crowd's excitement turned to confusion as the record was invalidated. Taylor's athleticism wasn't in doubt, his speed was real, but his method broke regulations. The case became an example of how athletes can push boundaries without malicious intent, only to discover they've crossed a line they didn't realize was there. The Sydney 2000 Paralympics was rocked by a shocking fraud. Spain's learning disabled basketball team won gold against Russia, but after the games, player Carlos Ribagorda, revealed that 10 of the 12 athletes had no disabilities. The team, required to have IQs below 70, included able-bodied players with falsified medical certificates as part of a scheme to boost Spain's medal count. For 2 years, the team trained and competed worldwide, defeating legitimate disabled athletes. The scandal devastated competitors who had lost to them and exposed corruption within the Spanish Federation of Sports for the Intellectually Disabled. Its president, who orchestrated the scheme, received only around $6,280 fine after admitting to fraud and embezzlement. The case prompted sweeping reforms in disability classification and left a lasting stain on Paralympic sport. Enjoyed the video? Before we continue, don't forget to ring the bell, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. It truly helps me out, and I promise to bring you even more awesome content. In 2009, rugby was rocked by the scandal now known as Bloodgate. During a Heineken Cup quarter-final match between Harlequins, England and Leinster, Ireland, Harlequins player Tom Williams was pulled off the pitch late in the game with apparent blood coming from his mouth. Under rugby rules, a player with a blood injury can be temporarily substituted, even if the substitute has previously been replaced, allowing Harlequins to bring back Nick Evans, who had been injured earlier. But as Williams left the field, cameras caught him winking at teammates, raising suspicions. An investigation by the European Rugby Cup revealed Williams had used a fake blood capsule supplied by the team's physiotherapist to enable the substitution. The scheme was orchestrated by Dean Richards, Harlequins director of rugby, who was implicated in multiple similar incidents. Richards received a 3-year ban, Williams a 4-month ban, and the physiotherapist a 2-year ban. Harlequins were fined around $345,500. The scandal's most damaging element was its premeditation, systematically exploiting rugby's blood injury rule and undermining the sport's integrity. Golf, famed for its integrity and self-regulation, was shaken when Patrick Reed was penalized during a professional event. At the 2019 Hero World Challenge in the Bahamas at Albany Golf Club, cameras caught Reed twice moving sand behind his ball during practice swings in a waste bunker, improving his lie before his third shot on the 11th hole, a clear violation of the rule, which prohibits removing or pressing down loose sand to gain an advantage. Rather than calling a penalty on himself, Reed was informed after the round as officials reviewed video evidence. He argued that a different camera angle might have shown no violation, but officials upheld the penalty. Reed received a 2-stroke penalty, dropping him out of the lead and demonstrating how high-definition coverage now enforces strict rule compliance, even when play appears subtle or unintentional. This case sparked broader debate in golf. While the sport depends on player honesty, modern replay technology means even minor infractions are scrutinized. Reed's technically smooth but rule-breaking strokes illustrated that pushing the bounds of what seems allowed can lead to serious consequences. During the 2011 World Championships in Athletics in Daegu, South Korea, a dramatic incident unfolded in the men's 110m hurdles final. Cuban hurdler Dayron Robles crossed the line first in an apparent victory, only to be disqualified for interference with China's Liu Jiang. Slow-motion replay showed Robles making contact with Liu over the 9th and 10th hurdles, effectively pulling him off stride and dropping him into 3rd place, before Robles completed the race first. After a protest from the Chinese team, officials applied IAAF Rule 163.2 obstruction and disqualified Robles. The gold was awarded to U.S. hurdler Jason Richardson, Liu was upgraded to silver, and Britain's Andy Turner received bronze. Robles had originally posted a time of 13.14 seconds, ahead of Richardson's 13.16s and Liu's 13.27s. Liu Jiang accepted that the contact appeared unintentional, saying, "If not for the incident, I would have won the gold medal." Still, officials deemed the interference sufficient for disqualification. The case underscored how subtle real-time contact undetected live can be flagged by high-definition replay at elite track events. Do you think Dayron Robles should have been disqualified for the contact with Liu Jiang, or should the gold medal have stood? Let us know in the comments below. In 2017, during the ANA Inspiration, one of the LPGA's major championships held at Mission Hills Country Club in Rancho Mirage, California, golfer Lexi Thompson was leading when an unusual penalty occurred. During the third round, Thompson incorrectly replaced her ball after marking it on the green, moving it slightly out of position. The mistake went unnoticed by Thompson officials and commentators at the time. A television viewer watching at home noticed the infraction and emailed tournament officials with specific details. After reviewing the footage, officials confirmed the violation and assessed a 4-stroke penalty during the final round, 2 strokes for the ball placement error, and 2 for signing an incorrect scorecard from the previous day. The penalty dropped Thompson out of the lead and sparked major controversy. Critics argued that allowing viewer call-ins unfairly influenced outcomes and that infractions undetected during play should not later be penalized. The backlash eventually led golf's governing bodies to change the rules in 2018, banning penalties from viewer reports. During the women's 500m short track speed skating quarterfinals at the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, Femke, China was implicated in a highly unusual incident. Viewers worldwide claimed she appeared to flick a marker, a small puck used to define racing lanes toward Canadian skater Alison Charles, causing Charles to crash and also bringing Fan down. The moment was captured in viral slow-motion video and discussed extensively on Reddit. One commenter described it as truly Olympic-level cheat, noting the apparent coordination and timing of the flick. Despite the footage, Canadian skater Florence Brunel was penalized, not Fan, for an earlier illegal inside pass. Brunel's disqualification allowed Italian Arianna Valsapina to advance. Alison Charles was allowed to continue to the semifinals after it was determined the fall was not her fault. No formal action was taken against Femke. She was eliminated later in the round and did not advance. The race went ahead with Italy's Arianna Fontana winning gold, the Netherlands' Suzanne Schulting silver, and Canada's Kim Boutine bronze. The controversy sparked debate about viewer-led accusations and the use of slow-motion replay in officiating contact-heavy Olympic events. On June 16, 1983, boxing faced one of its darkest scandals. At Madison Square Garden in New York City, Luis Resto fought rising prospect Billy Collins Jr. in a 10-round welterweight bout. After Resto's upset victory, Collins's father, Billy Collins Sr., shook Resto's hand and immediately realized something was wrong. The gloves felt unusually hard and light. It was later discovered that Resto's trainer, Panama Lewis, had removed most of the padding from Resto's gloves before the fight. This effectively turned Resto's punches into bare-knuckle strikes, causing severe injuries to Collins that ended his career. Collins spiraled into depression and died in a car accident less than a year later, with many speculating that the emotional fallout from the assault contributed to his passing. Both Resto and Lewis were convicted of assault, criminal possession of a weapon, and conspiracy and served prison sentences. Resto was banned from boxing for life, and Lewis also received a lifetime ban. The case remains infamous as one of the clearest examples of cheating crossing into outright criminal assault in professional sports history. At the 2012 London Olympics, the women's 75 kg weightlifting final ended with Svetlana Podobedova of Kazakhstan winning gold, Natalia Zabolotnaya of Russia taking silver, and Irina Kulisha of Belarus claiming bronze, each setting or challenging Olympic records. However, in 2016, the International Olympic Committee reanalyzed stored samples using advanced testing methods. The retest revealed all 3 medalists had used banned substances, including anabolic steroids, despite testing clean at the time of competition. As a result, Podobedova, Zabolotnaya, and Kulisha were disqualified, stripped of their medals, and their records annulled. Their medals were later reallocated to lifters who had originally placed 4th through 6th. This case underscored how evolving anti-doping technology can expose violations years later, overturning results long after athletes have celebrated and profited from their Olympic success. It also highlighted ongoing systemic doping concerns in weightlifting during that era. Should athletes caught doping years later have to return their medals and prizes, even after they've already enjoyed the glory and recognition? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. In March 2016, during an NBA game between the Houston Rockets and the Atlanta Hawks, officials noticed the basketball was unusually sticky after being touched by Dwight Howard. A check revealed a can of Stickum, a spray adhesive banned by the NBA since 1981, on the Rockets bench. After the game, Howard admitted to using the substance, telling Houston Chronicle reporter Jonathan Fegan that he used stickum every game. Despite the admission, the NBA did not issue a fine or suspension, instead issuing a league-wide reminder that foreign substances are prohibited. The incident sparked debate over the enforcement of equipment rules in professional basketball and raised questions about whether similar practices were overlooked in the league. Howard's casual admission suggested he didn't view the rule violation as serious, highlighting a broader culture of lax enforcement regarding minor infractions. At the 1976 Montreal Olympics, Soviet fencer Boris Onyshchenko, a three-time world champion in modern pentathlon, was caught using a modified fencing épée during the fencing portion of the event. The weapon was rigged with a hidden switch that allowed him to activate the electronic scoring system without making contact with his opponent. Onyshchenko's modification effectively let him register phantom hits at will, a sophisticated form of cheating unprecedented for the era. The device was so discreet it passed initial inspections, and his deception might have gone undetected if not for a suspicious scoreline and further equipment testing by officials. Investigators found altered wiring in the weapon's grip that allowed Onyshchenko to close the scoring circuit manually. This revelation not only disqualified him but also resulted in his lifetime ban from competition and stripped him of prior honors. The scandal was one of the first high-profile cases of technological cheating in the Olympics and prompted stricter equipment checks and monitoring procedures in fencing and modern pentathlon events worldwide. Indian chess grandmaster Viswanathan Anand, a former world champion, participated in an online charity event in June 2021, was playing simultaneous exhibition games against celebrities to raise funds for COVID-19 relief. Among the participants was Indian billionaire entrepreneur Nikhil Kamath, co-founder of Zerodha. To the shock of viewers, Kamath defeated Anand, seemingly achieving a remarkable upset. However, it was soon revealed that Kamath had used Stockfish, a top chess engine, to assist his moves during the game. Observers noticed irregular play patterns and later confirmed the use of engine-generated moves. The revelation sparked outrage, as the match was meant to be a light-hearted fundraiser rather than a competitive event. Kamath later admitted to cheating and issued a public apology, while Anand graciously accepted the apology and emphasized the event's charitable purpose. Do you think Nikhil Kamath's use of a chess engine in a charity match should permanently damage his reputation, or was his public apology enough to move on? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and follow the channel to discover more interesting things. At the 2013 World Championships in Athletics in Moscow, Russian hammer thrower Tatyana Lysenko, later known as Tatyana Beloborodova, won gold with a throw of 78.80 m, not a world record but among the longest in history. Her win drew suspicion due to her prior doping ban in 2007. While Lysenko passed tests at the time, the International Association of Athletics Federations and the International Olympic Committee later reanalyzed stored samples using improved detection methods. In 2016, retests revealed she had used banned substances during the 2012 Olympics and 2013 World Championships. As a result, Lysenko was stripped of her 2012 Olympic gold and 2013 World Championship title and handed an 8-year ban. The case underscored ongoing challenges in anti-doping efforts, cheaters exploiting detection gaps and authorities catching them years later through reanalysis. Swimming, one of the most physically demanding Olympic sports, has faced numerous doping controversies. A prominent example is Russian breaststroker Yulia Efimova, who was banned for 16 months in 2013 after testing positive for the steroid DA. Her results from that period were annulled, but she was not stripped of any world records, as she had not held any at the time. Efimova returned to competition after her suspension, angering many rivals including American swimmer Lily King. Their tension peaked at the 2016 Rio Olympics, where King openly criticized Efimova's presence, famously wagging her finger in disapproval after a semifinal win. King went on to win gold in the 100 m breaststroke, with Efimova taking silver. The incident reignited debate about whether athletes previously caught doping should be allowed to return after serving suspensions. The case highlighted contrasting global attitudes towards second chances in sport and fueled calls for stricter anti-doping penalties. These 18 shocking cases of athletic cheating reveal something disturbing about the length some competitors will go to achieve victory. From sophisticated technological deceptions like hidden motors and electronic manipulation to crude physical cheating like removing glove padding and using illegal substances, these athletes risked everything for a competitive advantage. Have you ever been caught cheating in a sport before? Or spotted a professional breaking the rules? Let me know in the comments below what you think about these shocking cases of athletic deception. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot to us. Thanks for watching, and remember, true champions win with honor, not deception. Is there anything more scandalous in the world of sports than when a superstar athlete gets caught cheating? From doping to ball tampering, they always think they can get away with it, right up until their dirty deeds are exposed for all the world to see. Today, I'm taking you through the most shocking, outrageous, and downright unbelievable moments when athletes thought they were above the rules. Some of these stories will make you laugh, others will make you cringe, and a few might just restore your faith in justice. Let's dive into. Let's start with something that happened earlier last year. Ronald de Jesus Blanco was enjoying a breakout season with the Houston Astros. He had just thrown a no-hitter against the Toronto Blue Jays on April 1st, 2024, the earliest no-hitter by calendar date in Major League Baseball history, and the 17th no-hitter in the Astros franchise history. But success apparently wasn't enough for Blanco. During a game against the Oakland Athletics on May 14, 2024, first base umpire Eric Bacchus inspected Blanco's glove before the start of the fourth inning. He described finding the stickiest stuff I've felt on a glove, a foreign substance inside the glove. In MLB, pitchers are allowed to use rosin to improve grip, but only within strict limits, and not in excess or on prohibited areas. Blanco insisted that what was found was just rosin mixed with sweat on his glove, not an illicit substance. But the league had zero tolerance. MLB immediately ejected him and suspended him for 10 games, and Blanco chose not to appeal the suspension, saying he wanted to return to pitching as soon as possible. The contrast is stark. Blanco had just achieved one of baseball's rarest feats, a no-hitter, but still found himself embroiled in a cheating controversy. It's a perfect example of how the pursuit of any edge can overshadow common sense. Speaking of common sense, let's talk about what happened at the 2024 Beijing Half Marathon. 4 runners were approaching the finish line in what seemed like a dramatic finale. China's He Ji, a national marathon star and the reigning Asian Games marathon champion, was running alongside 3 East African athletes, Kenya's Robert Keter and Willie Menenget, and Ethiopia's Dejene Haile Bekele. The crowd was electric, cameras rolling, and then something extraordinary happened. The 3 African runners deliberately slowed down and gestured, seemingly directing He Ji to surge ahead and cross the line first. But for anyone familiar with competitive road racing, this was immediately suspicious. Willie Menenget claimed afterward that the trio had been hired as pacemakers to assist He Ji in chasing a national record, and that he wasn't competing to win. None of them had been registered or labeled as pacemakers in the official race documentation, so by the rules they were improperly entered as regular competitors. The outcome: He Ji and the 3 African runners were disqualified, stripped of their medals, trophies, and prize money. The race organizer, Zhongyao Lupao Beijing Sports Management Company, was removed from future hosting duties, and the sponsor Xtep apologized for failing to disclose the pacemaker arrangement properly. Now let's return to baseball and another sticky situation. Max Scherzer, a 3-time Cy Young Award winner and bona fide legend, found himself at the center of an unwelcome spotlight in 2023 while pitching for the New York Mets in a game against the Los Angeles Dodgers. During a routine inspection, umpires discovered a suspicious substance on Scherzer's hand and glove. He was instructed to wash his hands, which he did with alcohol because of an MLB official, and change his glove. Both actions were performed, but the third inspection revealed the substance remained. At that point, he was ejected from the game. Scherzer vehemently argued, yelling it's rosin, and insisting the residue was just rosin and sweat, legal substances used for grip. As a result, MLB suspended him for 10 games, issued a $10,000 fine, and Scherzer initially appealed the suspension. However, he dropped the appeal hours later. In exchange, the fine was reduced to $5,000. This eventually became a defining case in the ongoing tug-of-war between pitchers seeking optimal grip and umpires enforcing the league's foreign substance policies. The incident highlighted the escalating scrutiny and stickiness standards being applied, or enforced, in modern MLB. Sometimes cheating, or in this case aggression, goes beyond mere competitive advantage. One of the most controversial moments in motorcycle racing history occurred at the 2015 Malaysian Grand Prix, held at the Sepang International Circuit, a heated clash between legends Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez. By 2015, Rossi and Marquez had already been entrenched in a bitter rivalry. In Malaysia, during a fierce battle for third place on lap 7, the two made perilous contact at turn 14, causing Marquez to crash. He was able to remount briefly but retired soon after. Immediately after the incident, Marquez accused Rossi of deliberately kicking him. Rossi responded by saying he had been trying to ride wide to slow Marquez down, not cause him to crash. Race Direction reviewed the footage and penalized Rossi with 3 penalty points, adding to a prior point, bringing his total to 4. Under FIM rules, that meant he would be required to start from the back of the grid at the season finale in Valencia. Rossi appealed the decision both to the FIM stewards and later to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, but ultimately withdrew his appeal in December 2015, making the sanction final. Sometimes cheating, or worse, sabotage, comes not from the athletes but from those meant to support them. One of the most blatant acts of unsportsmanlike conduct in football history occurred in 2010, involving the New York Jets head strength and conditioning coach Sal Alosi. During a game against the Miami Dolphins on December 12, 2010, as Dolphins rookie Nolan Carroll raced down the sideline on a punt return, Alosi intentionally stuck out his left knee and tripped him, even though Carroll was already out of bounds. This wasn't an impromptu slip-up. It came after investigators learned that Alosi had instructed inactive Jets players to form a shoulder-to-shoulder wall along the sideline to obstruct opponents. The fallout was swift and severe. The Jets suspended Alosi for the remainder of the season, including playoffs, without pay, and fined him $25,000. The NFL fined the team $100,000 for violating league rules and sideline personnel regulations. Alosi resigned from the Jets on January 31, 2011, effectively ending his tenure with the team. This incident serves as a stark reminder that unethical actions, not even from players but from those in coaching roles, can irreparably damage reputations and careers. Enjoyed the video? Before we continue, don't forget to ring the bell, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. It truly helps me out, and I promise to bring you even more awesome content. Sometimes embellishment in hockey, where a player exaggerates minor contact, backfires spectacularly. Mikko Rantanen, a highly skilled Finnish forward for the Colorado Avalanche, learned that lesson the hard way during the 2018-19 NHL season. During a game against the Boston Bruins, with the Avalanche trailing, Rantanen was involved in a play late in the second period where Patrice Bergeron drew a hooking penalty. However, Rantanen also went down theatrically with minimal contact. The referees weren't fooled. Both Bergeron was penalized for hooking, and Rantanen received an embellishment minor on the ice. Later, hockey operations flagged the play, and Rantanen was issued a $2,000 fine under Rule 64. This was his second offense of the season, following a prior warning issued after a dive against the New York Rangers on October 16. Because this was a repeat offense, the fine was applied. Rantanen's attempt to deceive officials ended up not only failing to sway the call but also costing him money. It's a perfect example of how trying to game the system can backfire. Golf is often celebrated as a gentleman's game rooted in honor and integrity. Players are expected to call penalties on themselves, and tradition places a high value on self-policing. That's why what Simon Dyson did at the 2013 BMW Masters in Shanghai was so shocking. During the second round, Dyson used his golf ball to press down a spike mark on the 8th green, directly in his putt line, a clear violation of Rule 16(1)(a), which prohibits touching the line of putt. Adding to the severity, he then failed to add the mandatory 2-stroke penalty when signing his scorecard and was consequently disqualified from the tournament. Subsequently, a disciplinary panel convened at the European Tour's headquarters. Dyson was fined $49,000 and given a 2-month ban, suspended for 18 months, meaning the ban would only take effect if he breached the rules again during that period. Dyson publicly apologized 5 days after the incident, describing it as an unintentional mistake, and did not contest the ruling. Do you think Simon Dyson's actions at the 2013 BMW Masters should be viewed as a careless mistake or deliberate cheating, and was the punishment he received fair? Let us know in the comments below. Sometimes cheating is so blatant and bizarre that it's impossible to ignore. Such was the case of Emily Clark in one of the strangest marathon scandals in recent memory. Clark finished second at the 2019 Peace Health Appletree Half Marathon in Vancouver, WA, but suspicions arose immediately. None of the other top runners remembered her passing them, and she appeared in race photos only near the finish. Race organizer Sherry McMillan later confirmed seeing Clark riding a bicycle during the event. When challenged, Clark denied everything and even claimed it was her twin sister on the bike, though she has no twin. Confronted with evidence, Clark confessed, admitting to cheating not just in Vancouver but also at the 2013 Chicago Marathon, the Eugene Marathon, the Walter Childs Memorial Run, and the 2018 Swamp Rabbit Marathon. She issued an apology but quickly contradicted herself on Instagram, saying she was disqualified because officials found it impossible to believe someone of my build could hold those paces. 3 weeks later, at the 2019 Chicago Marathon, Clark was exposed again. Her splits showed an impossible jump, about 12:16 per mile up to 25,000, then suddenly just over 6:10 per mile between 25,000 and 30,000 before slowing. Officials disqualified her, adding another mark to her record. Clark's case highlights how tools like GPS, photo timing, and split analysis now make it almost impossible for serial cheaters to escape detection. Sometimes, cheating scandals extend beyond individual athletes to entire sports. Horse racing faced one of its biggest moments of controversy at the 2019 Kentucky Derby, the 145th running of America's most prestigious race, held at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. Maximum Security, ridden by jockey Luis Saez, crossed the finish line first and appeared to have won convincingly. But as jockeys Flavian Pratt, Country House, and another rider lodged objections citing interference, stewards conducted a lengthy review. For the first time in the Derby's history, a horse was disqualified for an on-track infraction, as Maximum Security had veered from the rail into the paths of several horses, notably War of Will, then Long Range Toddy and Boat Express, creating a domino of interference. He was placed 17th, and Country House, the long shot at 6.51, was awarded the victory. Jockey Luis Saez was suspended for 15 racing days by the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission for failure to control his mount and make the proper effort to maintain a straight course, leading to interference and disqualification. He appealed the suspension, calling it overly harsh and factually unsupportable. The decision sparked widespread debate. Some viewed it as essential for safety and fairness, while others argued it punished Maximum Security for what they believed was a racing incident. Cycling has long battled cheating, from doping scandals to mechanical aids, but sometimes the deception is so blatant it borders on absurdity. That was the case with Italian cyclist Vincenzo Nibali during the 2015 Vuelta a Spagna. In Stage 2, Nibali crashed, an all-too-common occurrence in professional cycling. While riders may receive help from team cars after crashes, there are strict limits on how that assistance may be used. Nibali's actions went far beyond those rules. He held onto his Astana team car for approximately 100 meters, effectively being towed back to the peloton, a move caught in clear view of television cameras. Following an extended review of the footage, race commissaires made a one-of-a-kind decision in Vuelta history. They disqualified Nibali from the race, eliminating him from contention. His director sportif, Alexander Scheffer, who was driving the team car, was also expelled, and both were fined around 200 Swiss francs. Saez's excuse that Nibali merely needed help rejoining the race did not hold. Race director Javier Guillen and head commissar Bruno Velsic emphasized the clarity of the film evidence and the seriousness of the breach. The disqualification sparked debate about respect for rules and competitive fairness. But mind-bogglingly, it played out live for millions to see, forcing an immediate and dramatic enforcement of racing integrity. Baseball has produced some of the most famous cheating controversies in sports history, and George Brett's pine tar incident remains one of the best known. On July 24, 1983, Brett's Kansas City Royals were playing the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium. With 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning and the Royals trailing 4-3, Brett hit a dramatic 2-run homer off Yankees closer Goose Gossage, seemingly giving Kansas City a 5-4 lead. But Yankees manager Billy Martin challenged the legality of Brett's bat, arguing that the pine tar coating extended too far up the barrel. Under the rule at the time, pine tar could not extend more than 18 inches from the handle. After inspecting the bat, the umpires agreed the pine tar exceeded the limit and, in a stunning ruling, declared Brett out, nullifying the home run and ending the game in a Yankees victory. The Royals immediately filed a protest. 4 days later, American League President Lee MacPhail upheld the protest, ruling that while Brett had technically violated the rule, the penalty should not have been nullifying the home run. Instead, the bat should have been removed from play, with the homer still counting. MacPhail ordered the game resumed from the point of Brett's home run. On August 18, 1983, play was resumed with the Royals leading 5-4. They went on to win the game 5-4. Football has delivered some of the most controversial handball incidents in World Cup history, and one of the most infamous occurred in a 2009 World Cup qualifying playoff featuring 2 of the sport's biggest teams. In a high-stakes 2-legged tie between France and the Republic of Ireland, the outcome of an entire nation's qualification hinged on a single moment. On 18 November 2009, in the second leg played at the Stade de France in Saint-Denis, the match was deadlocked 1-1 on aggregate and heading to extra time. In the closing stages, Thierry Henry twice handled the ball with his hand before passing it to William Gallas, who scored the decisive goal. The officials failed to see the handball, and the goal stood, sending France into the 2010 World Cup and ending Ireland's qualification hopes. Henry later admitted the handball, publicly stating he felt extremely sorry for the Irish, but by then the result couldn't be altered. Ireland lodged formal requests to FIFA for a replay of the match, or even inclusion as a 33rd participant in the World Cup, but both were rejected. The referee Martin Hansen continued to face scrutiny, and the Football Association of Ireland ultimately received a reported €5 million settlement from FIFA for its grievance. To this day, the incident, often dubbed the Hand of God, remains one of the most controversial in World Cup qualifying history, illustrating how a single moment of injustice can reshape the fortunes of entire nations. Should FIFA have ordered a replay of the 2009 France vs. Ireland playoff after Thierry Henry's handball, or was letting the result stand the right decision? Let us know in the comments below. The Olympics represent the pinnacle of athletic achievement, where the world's best compete under extraordinary scrutiny. That's why what Soviet modern pentathlete Boris Onishchenko attempted at the 1976 Montreal Olympics remains one of the most audacious cheating scandals in Olympic history. Onishchenko was far from an unknown. He had already won team gold at the 1972 Munich Games and individual silver at the 1972 World Championships, and entered Montreal as one of the Soviet Union's most experienced pentathletes. The modern pentathlon, covering fencing, swimming, equestrian, shooting, and cross-country running, is one of the game's most demanding tests. During the fencing portion, members of the British team, including Adrian Parker and Jim Fox, noticed something suspicious. Onishchenko's EP was registering electronic hits, even when it hadn't touched his opponent. In Olympic fencing, the scoring apparatus should only light up when the weapon's tip makes contact. Officials inspected his weapon and uncovered a shocking scheme. The EP had been illegally modified with a hidden switch inside the grip, enabling Onishchenko to trigger scoring lights at will. In other words, he could register a point without ever landing a touch. Confronted, Onishchenko denied responsibility and even claimed the weapon wasn't his. But the evidence was undeniable. He was disqualified on the spot and subsequently banned for life from Olympic competition. Basketball has its unique form of cheating, flopping, where players dramatically exaggerate contact to trick referees into calling fouls. While common in the NBA, it reached absurd levels during Game 4 of the 2013 Eastern Conference Finals between the Miami Heat and Indiana Pacers. In one sequence, LeBron James and David West both flopped after minimal contact, drawing fines of $5,000 each under the NBA's postseason flopping policy. Earlier in the same game, Lance Stevenson was fined the same amount for a flagrantly obvious flop involving a minimal swipe from Ray Allen. Media coverage dubbed it a flop fest, a spectacle of theatrical reactions in a high-stakes playoff showdown. The NBA's decision to fine these elite athletes during a pivotal playoff game marked a clear statement against deceptive behavior. It demonstrated that even the game's biggest stars could face financial penalties and public scrutiny for compromising sportsmanship at the highest level. Sometimes cheating in sports involves literal identity theft, as happened at the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. The DeJesus twins from Puerto Rico carried out one of the most brazen substitution schemes in Olympic history. Madeline DeJesus was scheduled to run for Puerto Rico in the women's 4x400-meter relay. However, she injured herself while competing in the long jump earlier in the games. Facing the prospect of her team being unable to qualify, she devised a desperate plan. Her identical twin sister, Margaret DeJesus, was attending the Olympics only as a spectator. Madeline convinced Margaret to impersonate her and run in the relay heats. The deception worked. Margaret ran the second leg, and Puerto Rico qualified for the final. The scheme unraveled when Jose Enrique Raras, head of Puerto Rico's Olympic delegation, learned of the switch. He faced a difficult choice: remain silent and allow an ineligible athlete to compete in the final, or expose the truth. Raras chose integrity, and Puerto Rico immediately withdrew from the final, forfeiting their spot. The DeJesus twins were subsequently banned from Olympic competition, and Puerto Rico lost its chance at a possible medal. But the decision preserved the integrity of the Games and is remembered as one of the most principled stands against cheating in Olympic history. The NFL's Deflategate scandal, involving Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, became one of the most scrutinized controversies in American sports history, stretching into a 2-year legal battle that reached federal court. It began after the 2015 AFC Championship game on January 18, 2015, when the Patriots beat the Indianapolis Colts 4-5-7. At halftime, officials found 11 of 12 Patriots footballs under the league's 12.5 psi minimum. Later reports noted that gauges and weather may have affected readings, but suspicions remained. Deflated balls can help with grip and accuracy, and the NFL launched an investigation led by attorney Ted Wells. His report concluded it was more probable than not that staffers Jim McNally and John Jastremski had deflated balls after inspection, and that Brady was generally aware. Text messages referenced the deflator and Brady's pressure preferences. In May 2015, the NFL suspended Brady 4 games without pay, fined the Patriots $1 million, and stripped them of a 2016 first-round and 2017 fourth-round draft pick. The controversy deepened when investigators learned Brady had his cell phone destroyed just before interviews, erasing months of texts. He said it was routine, but the timing raised suspicion. The legal fight swung back and forth. In September 2015, Judge Richard Berman vacated the suspension, allowing Brady to play that season. In April 2016, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals reinstated the punishment. Brady dropped further appeals and served his 4-game suspension at the start of the 2016 season. Though Brady never admitted wrongdoing, the scandal and the destroyed phone became a lasting symbol of how far athletes and teams may go to protect reputations in high-stakes sports. Boxing has produced shocking scandals, but few match what happened to Billy Ray Collins Jr. on June 16, 1983, at Madison Square Garden. Collins, a 21-year-old prospect, fought journeyman Luis Resto in a scheduled 10-rounder. From the start, Collins absorbed heavy punishment, and by the end, his face was grotesquely swollen. Resto won by unanimous decision, but when Billy Collins Sr. shook Resto's hand afterward, he realized the gloves felt unusually thin. Officials confirmed the padding had been stripped, leaving Collins battered by near-bare fists. The response was swift. The New York State Athletic Commission permanently banned Resto and his trainer, Panama Lewis. Both were later convicted of assault and conspiracy. Resto served 2.5 years in prison, Lewis 6 years. Resto never boxed again, and Lewis was barred for life. Collins's injuries were devastating. Retinal damage left him legally blind and ended his career. Less than a year later, in March 1984, he died in a car crash. Though ruled accidental, many believe depression over his ruined career drove him to suicide. The case remains one of boxing's darkest moments, proof that calculated cheating can destroy not just careers but lives. These stories reveal something fascinating about human nature and competition. Every single one of these athletes had already achieved incredible success through legitimate means. What's the most outrageous cheating scandal you've ever seen in sports? Drop a comment below and let me know which of these stories shocked you the most. And if you know of any cheating scandals I missed, I'd love to hear about them for a potential follow-up video. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Craziest moments in women's sports. Across boxing rings, basketball courts, Formula One tracks, and Olympic arenas, female athletes have amazed millions with their strength, skill, and resilience. You'll discover a 13-year-old who became a national icon, a woman who beat men at their own game, and moments so unexpected they sparked global conversation. Let's dive in. Let's begin with a striking, unusual moment in tennis. Tennis players break rackets all the time, usually in fits of rage after missing crucial shots. But what happened to Polish player Agnieszka Radwanska at the 2016 Australian Open was extraordinary. Her racket didn't just break, it exploded. During a routine rally, Radwanska was setting up for what appeared to be a standard shot when her racket suddenly disintegrated into multiple pieces. The strings snapped simultaneously, the frame shattered, and pieces went flying in every direction. The look of complete bewilderment on Radwanska's face was priceless. She stood there holding what remained of the handle, staring at the debris scattered across the court like she'd just witnessed a magic trick gone wrong. Even the commentators were speechless, trying to explain how a professional tennis racket could spontaneously combust during normal play. The incident became an instant meme, with people joking that Radwanska had discovered a new way to play tennis, or that her forehand was so powerful it defied the laws of physics. Sometimes the most shocking moments in women's sports aren't about athletic performance. They come from equipment failures at the worst possible moment. Like wardrobe malfunctions captured live on camera. Spanish diver Jennifer Benitez experienced a wardrobe mishap during the 3-meter springboard event at the 2012 London Olympics. While awaiting her score, she inadvertently adjusted her swimsuit, already stretched from the dive, and was caught on camera in an awkward position. Though embarrassing, it didn't affect her competition placement. An even more dramatic incident befell Italian swimmer Flavia Zaccari at the 2009 Mediterranean Games in Pescara, Italy. During warm-ups before the women's 200-meter race, the back of her high-tech Jake J01 suit split open. With no time to change, she had to withdraw and was officially disqualified. The distressing moment left her in tears of frustration. These examples illustrate a broader pattern. Female athletes often face inadequate or malfunctioning equipment at critical moments, failures that rarely happen to their male counterparts. Even more troubling, these malfunctions frequently earn more media attention than the athlete's actual performances. It underscores a deeper issue in sports coverage and the design of athletic wear for women. In NCAA collegiate gymnastics, a perfect 10 is exceptionally rare, and what American gymnast Caitlin Ohashi achieved in January 2019 was remarkable, though not literally a unicorn. Competing at the Under Armour Collegiate Challenge in Anaheim, California, she delivered a floor routine so precise and radiant that she scored a perfect 10, her fourth career perfect 10, but widely celebrated as her most iconic. Ohashi wasn't yet a household name internationally, but her performance changed that. Dancing to an upbeat medley, including Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5, she executed flawless tumbling passes, clean landings, and beamed throughout. The effect was electric. Millions of viewers shared the video and praised both her technical excellence and the exuberant joy she conveyed. Such flawless, perfect 10 scores had become exceedingly rare under increasingly strict NCAA judging. But Ohashi made it look effortless. She smiled throughout, reminding everyone why gymnastics can be a beautiful, inspiring sport. Her viral performance transformed her into an international sensation and revived global appreciation for collegiate gymnastics. Speaking of clothing controversies, one of the most impactful protests in recent sports history occurred at the 2021 European Beach Handball Championship in Varna, Bulgaria, involving the Norwegian women's beach handball team and a challenge to sexist uniforms. For years, female beach handball players were required to wear fitted, low-cut bikini bottoms while their male counterparts could wear tank tops and shorts. At the bronze medal match against Spain, the Norwegian team wore longer bike-style shorts in protest and were collectively fined €1,500, about €150 per player, by the European Handball Federation's disciplinary commission for violating the uniform rules. That fine sparked global outrage. Norway's culture and sports minister Abid Raja called it completely ridiculous. Athletes from countries like Denmark and Germany voiced support, and pop star Pink offered to pay their fines. The incident reignited debates over gender equality in sports attire. By October 2021, the International Handball Federation amended its rules to permit women to wear short, tight pants with a close fit and tank tops instead of bikini bottoms, marking a major turning point prompted by this protest. During a World Athletics Indoor Championship 100 meters hurdles heat, a Croatian athlete ran alongside 7 competitors. Midway through, one hurdler stumbled and crashed, disrupting the race. Since she was not at fault, officials granted her a solo rerun to advance. With no competitors and no distractions, it seemed straightforward. But then came the twist. Running alone to qualify, she hit the final hurdle and fell. The athlete, given a second chance because someone else had fallen, ended up falling herself, an ironic and surreal moment. Track and field fans were stunned. The sequence felt too bizarre to be real, yet it became one of the most talked about mishaps in recent memory. When skateboarding debuted as an Olympic sport at the Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympic Games held in 2021 due to the pandemic, everyone expected established stars to dominate. What nobody saw coming was a 13-year-old Brazilian girl stealing the spotlight and becoming an overnight national hero. Raisa Leal, known as Fadina, faced women several years her senior in the inaugural Women's Street Skateboarding Final at Ariake Urban Sports Park and captivated the world. Her tricks were smooth and powerful, executed with a smile, earning her a silver medal, making her Brazil's youngest Olympic medalist at 13 years and 203 days old. Brazil erupted in celebration, streets filled with cheering crowds, social media buzzed with her performances, and she instantly became the country's most famous athlete. Her impact extended off the podium, skate sales surged, skate parks overflowed with young girls emulating their new hero, and skate school enrollment skyrocketed. Leal didn't just win a medal, she transformed skateboarding from fringe to mainstream in Brazil, demonstrating that sports icons can emerge at any age and that authentic joy can inspire nationwide passion. Enjoyed the video? Before we continue, don't forget to ring the bell, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. It truly helps me out, and I promise to bring you even more awesome content. We're going back to December 2019, at the PDC World Darts Championship, held at Alexandra Palace in London. What unfolded there truly flipped a male-dominated sport on its head. In the first round, Fallon Sherrock, from Milton Keynes, faced Ted Yvetz, PDC Development Tour winner. Instead of the expected outcome, Sherrock fought back and won 3-2, landing 6 180s and averaging about 91, becoming the first woman ever to win a match at the PDC World Championship. The venue erupted as she sealed victory with a double 18. Next, in the second round, Sherrock stunned Mensur Suljevic with a decisive 3-1 win, including a final bullseye checkout, advancing to the last 32. The crowd reaction was electrifying, and the occasion was hailed as a fairy tale run. Although Sherrock's journey ended in the third round with a 4-2 loss to Chris Dobey, Her breakthrough in London had already cemented her status as a legend and queen of the palace. That night reshaped perceptions, showing that skill transcends gender and earning her international fame. Let's explore what many consider the greatest match in women's football history, the 2011 FIFA Women's World Cup quarterfinal between Brazil and the United States. Held on July 10, 2011, at Rudolf Harburg Stadion in Dresden, Germany. After 90 minutes, the score stood at 1-1. Brazil then took the lead early in extra time, and for much of the 30-minute extension, they dominated. The U.S. were even down to 10 players after Rachel Bueller was sent off in the 65th minute for conceding a penalty. Then, in the 122nd minute, Abby Wambach leaped above Brazil's defense to head home a precise cross from Megan Rapinoe, scoring an unforgettable equalizer and tying the game 2-2 right as time expired. The stadium erupted. It has since been dubbed the header heard round the world. The match proceeded to penalties, where the U.S. prevailed 5-3, with Hope Solo making a crucial save from Diane, sending the Americans into the semifinals. This epic comeback, down to 10 players, conceding late, then scoring in the dying seconds, became a cultural phenomenon. It's celebrated as one of the most dramatic and inspiring moments in Women's World Cup history. What were you feeling the moment Abby Wambach's header hit the net in the 122nd minute? Was it shock, pure joy, or both? Let us know in the comments below. Sometimes the most dramatic moments in sports are driven by technology, and this was the case with the Speedo LZR Racer. A swimsuit so transformative it rewrote the record books and was eventually banned. Introduced in February 2008, the LZR Racer was developed by Speedo with support from NASA and the Australian Institute of Sport. Made of woven elastane nylon with polyurethane panels, it compressed the body, trapped air for buoyancy, and reduced drag by around 24%, fundamentally altering swimming performance. At the Beijing 2008 Olympics, swimmers wearing the LZR Racer won approximately 98% of medals, while 23 of the 25 world records set were achieved by athletes in the suit. In the following year, 2009, over 130 world records were broken wearing such suits, reinforcing concerns over so-called technology doping. By July 2009, the FINA Congress voted to ban full-body, non-textile suits effective January 2010. New rules limited men's suits from waist to knee and women's from shoulder to knee, requiring textile materials and no zippers. Though controversial, the LZR Racer era showcased how engineering breakthroughs can outpace regulation, forever changing our view of the interplay between human athleticism and technological enhancement. During a Women's Legends charity match between Brazil and Israel in October 2019, Israeli referee Lilac Asulan made a routine stoppage to issue a yellow card to Brazilian football icon Ricardo Kaká. But instead of walking away, she took out her phone and asked him for a selfie during play. Kaká, initially surprised, smiled and happily obliged. The moment paused the game momentarily, with both players and fans caught off guard. Yet the scene quickly turned lighthearted, teammates laughed, spectators cheered, and the clip spread across social media as a charming and humanizing moment. While some questioned the professionalism of an official even in an exhibition match, many praised Asulan's warmth and authenticity. The episode overshadowed the match itself and demonstrated how the traditional boundaries between players, officials, and fans are shifting in the age of social media. Archery is a sport where perfection is measured in millimeters, the difference between victory and defeat often narrower than a human hair. When South Korean archer Chang Hae-jin stepped up to the line in the 2016 Olympic Games women's individual final at the Sambadromo in Rio de Janeiro, few expected what followed. Chang didn't fire arrows into the same hole multiple times. Rather, she delivered a consistently high performance, shooting a 6-2 win against Germany's Lisa Unruh to claim her second Olympic gold. Her precise technique, many arrows landing near the X-ring in the 70-meter distance, earned widespread praise. In earlier stages, she had also defeated teammate and reigning Olympic champion Ki Bo-bae in the semifinals. Though Chang achieved an exceptionally high level of consistency and precision, some sequences were likened to arrows landing close to the same spot. It was not a literal single-hole feat. Video from the 2018 Hyundai Archery World Cup in Salt Lake City shows her shooting tight groups in the center, but the arrows left distinct holes. Cheng's performance in Rio wasn't a myth. It was the result of sustained excellence, not a magical single opening round. Still, it set a lofty benchmark and reinforced her reputation as one of the most formidable recurve archers of her generation. This story highlights the complex link between women's sports and media attention. American volleyball player Jamie Robbins, a standout outside hitter at UCLA, gained significant visibility not just for her athletic skills but also through televised matches and a growing social media presence. That visibility caught the attention of modeling agencies, leading to a career shift. Many believe that her exposure in volleyball's standard uniforms, often more revealing than those worn by men, played a role in that interest. Her athleticism earned her a platform, but her appearance may have amplified the response from outside the sports world. Robbins appears happy with the modeling opportunities, but her story reflects a broader issue. Female athletes often gain recognition for factors beyond performance. Would the same opportunities have come if uniforms were the same as in men's volleyball? Would her athletic success alone have opened those doors? This isn't a critique of Robbins' choices or talent. She's made the most of what came her way. But her story underscores an ongoing disparity in how male and female athletes are presented and the uneven paths to recognition they face. Do you think Jamie Robbins would have received the same modeling opportunities if women's volleyball uniforms were designed like the men's? Let us know in the comments below. Technology in sports is supposed to make things fairer, but sometimes it creates problems no one anticipated. One notable example occurred during a FIFA World Cup qualifier between Indonesia and Bahrain on October 10, 2024, when the electronic timing system, specifically the fourth official signal for additional time, became the center of a heated controversy. Referee Ahmed Al-Kaf of Oman allowed the match to continue well past the indicated 6 minutes of stoppage time, extending it to 9 minutes, during which Bahrain scrambled back a late equalizer. The goal appeared to be scored during a time that shouldn't have been played. Indonesian fans and officials accused the referee of bias and filed a formal complaint with FIFA and the Asian Football Confederation. Supporters pointed out that different broadcast feeds showed conflicting stoppage time signals, and no backup timekeeping system seemed to exist. The uproar sparked outrage online and led to diplomatic tensions, with the Indonesian Football Association lodging an official protest. FIFA opened an investigation into the timing anomaly and the handling of the match timing. The controversy reignited calls for clearer timekeeping protocols, backup systems, and strengthened regulations on officiating transparency in high-stakes international matches. During a Women's World Cup match, Jamaican goalkeeper Nicole McClure received what should have been a routine back pass from a defender. As the ball rolled toward her, she prepared for a simple clearance but miscontrolled it, lost her footing, and watched in disbelief as it rolled into the goal. The stadium fell silent. Players froze. Even the opposition appeared surprised. It was like watching someone trip on flat ground. It made no sense. Remarkably, McClure responded by rising, catching her breath, and then continuing to play with determination. Her composed reaction won empathy from the crowd, who applauded her maturity at a tough moment. What could have become an enduring embarrassment became instead a human moment of resilience. The clip went viral, not in mockery, but in respect for her composure under pressure. McClure became more widely recognized for this moment than many keepers are recognized for their greatest saves. Chinese weightlifter Lai Wenwen set a total world record of 332 kilograms in the women's super heavyweight category at the 2019 World Weightlifting Championships in Pattaya, specifically in the clean and jerk plus total. Venezuelan triple jumper Yulimar Rocha soared 15.74 meters at the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Belgrade in March 2022, setting the current women's triple jump world record. Polish hammer thrower Anita Lodarczyk holds a world record throw of 82.98 meters, achieved in August 2016 in Warsaw, but following her Olympic final in Rio. These aren't just remarkable performances. They were breakthroughs that pushed the limits of human potential and challenged the world's understanding of what elite athletes can achieve. These moments represent just a fraction of the incredible stories that women's sports have given us. From the hilarious fails that remind us that athletes are human, to the record-breaking performances that redefine what's possible, to the courageous stands that change society itself, female athletes continue to create moments that captivate, inspire, and sometimes completely shock the world. What was your favorite moment from today's video? Let me know in the comments below. And if you know of any other crazy moments from women's sports that I missed, I'd love to hear about them. Make sure to subscribe for more incredible sports content, and I'll see you in the next video. They're deliberate, high-stakes tactics crafted by athletes and coaches chasing victory at any cost. In this video, we'll dive into the most bizarre and controversial strategies ever used in professional sports, some so ingenious they changed the game, others so outrageous they nearly broke it. From borderline cheating to moments of reckless genius, these stories will challenge everything you think you know about competition and fair play. And by the end, one thing will be clear: when glory's on the line, nothing is off the table. On the final day of the 2005-2006 Premier League season, Manchester City needed a win against Middlesbrough to qualify for European football. With the score tied at 1-1 and time running out, manager Stuart Pearce made a move that stunned fans and pundits alike. He subbed on backup goalkeeper Nicky Weaver, but instead of replacing the current keeper David James, he pushed James up front as a striker. Still wearing his gloves, the 6'5" James led the line in a crucial match. It sounded crazy, but there was logic behind it. James was tall, strong, and dominant in the air. By sending long balls toward him, City hoped to overpower Middlesbrough's shorter defenders. The opposition was unprepared, and their defense fell into disarray. The chaos paid off. In injury time, James helped win a penalty. Though Robbie Fowler missed the spot kick and City fell short of Europe, the tactic itself was widely praised for its creativity. Pearce had identified a weakness in the opponent's defense and used an unconventional solution to exploit it. It showed that unexpected tactics could disrupt even the best-laid defensive plans. Now to Germany, where another radical idea took shape: Marcelo Bielsa's murder ball at Leeds United. Known for his tactical genius, Bielsa introduced a training method that initially seemed like punishment. Murder ball was a full-pitch, 11 versus 11 match without offsides, fouls, or breaks. Every time the ball went out, it was thrown back in instantly. There were no pauses. Players had to sprint back to cones after every stoppage and immediately return to high-intensity play. These sessions lasted for hours and pushed athletes past their limits. At first, Leeds players thought Bielsa was trying to break them. The intensity was brutal. But gradually they saw the benefits. The team built unmatched stamina and developed a relentless mentality. They learned to press constantly, play at full speed for 90 minutes, and stay composed under stress. When Leeds returned to the Premier League after 16 years, they shocked teams with their intensity. They ran harder, pressed higher, and kept going when others faded. Murder ball had turned them into a relentless force. Even rival coaches began studying Bielsa's methods, realizing there was brilliance behind the brutality. What seemed insane was actually a breakthrough in conditioning and mental toughness. The most daring modern example comes from Tottenham Hotspur's manager Ange Postecoglou during a North London derby against Chelsea. Reduced to 9 men after 2 red cards, most managers would defend deep and hope to limit the damage. Not Postecoglou. He kept Spurs' high defensive line and continued to press, even while outnumbered. To outsiders, it looked suicidal. Chelsea had space to attack, and Spurs seemed doomed. Even Spurs fans questioned the decision. Keeping a high line with 9 players against 11 was unheard of. But Postecoglou had his reasons. Changing tactics mid-game would have caused more confusion than clarity. Spurs had trained for months to play one-way, high press, quick transitions. Asking them to suddenly bunker down would have disrupted their rhythm and caused panic. By sticking to their system, Spurs could still pressure Chelsea and launch counters when they regained the ball. They even created chances and held off Chelsea longer than anyone expected. When Chelsea did score, it came from moments of individual brilliance. not from systematic breakdowns. Though Spurs lost 4-1, analysts praised Postecoglou's bravery and tactical consistency. He showed that sticking to your principles, even when down, can maintain team confidence and structure. Which of these tactics do you think was the boldest? James playing striker, murder ball, or Spurs high line with 9 men? Why? Comment and chat with me. Now we enter the darker side of sports tactics, psychological warfare. These strategies target the mind rather than the body, using confusion, deception, and mental manipulation to gain an edge. One of the most controversial examples took place in 2010 during a Premier League match between Manchester United and Tottenham. In the 84th minute, United winger Nani was brought down in the penalty area. Referee Mark Clattenburg signaled for play to continue, not awarding a foul. As Nani lay on the ground appealing, Tottenham goalkeeper Herlo Gomes assumed a free kick had been given. He casually placed the ball on the ground, expecting to restart play. But the referee had never blown his whistle. Realizing this, Nani jumped up and rolled the ball into the empty net. The goal stood. Tottenham's players and fans were furious, but the decision was legal. This was more than luck, it was a masterstroke of psychological awareness. Nani used the opponent's false assumption against them. Gomes had stopped thinking critically and reacted based on habit, a costly lapse in focus. The moment highlighted a key truth in high-level sports: mental alertness is just as critical as physical skill. One assumption can undo an entire defense. In 2015, women's football saw a tactical trick that blended acting with precision. During a match between Notts County and Arsenal, Notts County earned a free kick near Arsenal's goal. Laura Bassett stepped up as if to take it, but then she began arguing with teammates Alex Greenwood and Ellen White. The argument appeared heated and real, complete with gestures and shouting. Arsenal's players, thinking the kick was delayed due to team confusion, relaxed their stance. That's when Ellen White broke away and struck the ball into the net. The goal was allowed. Later, White confirmed the argument had been rehearsed in training. Notts County had observed that opponents tended to lower their guard when sensing dysfunction. They turned this psychological blind spot into a scoring opportunity. The trick was legal but raised ethical concerns. Was it clever gamesmanship or unsporting behavior? Either way, it worked because it took advantage of how people respond to perceived chaos, with hesitation and distraction. In tennis, psychological tactics can be deeply personal. Italian player Martina Trevisan displayed a strange habit during matches at the Dubai Tennis Championships. Instead of using ball kids, she stored tennis balls under her skin-tight shorts. The sight was so unusual that even broadcasters couldn't explain it. Why would a professional player adopt such an odd and seemingly impractical routine? Trevisan believed the balls would absorb her body heat and sweat, becoming heavier and more humid. This might alter how they behaved when hit, potentially giving her a small serving advantage. More importantly, the tactic drew attention. Opponents became distracted. Spectators and commentators fixated on the odd behavior rather than the match. Trevisan created a spectacle that pulled focus away from her game, perhaps hoping to destabilize her opponent mentally. However, the results didn't support the strategy. She lost both matches in which the behavior was seen. But the attempt demonstrated how far athletes will go to gain even the smallest edge, mentally or physically. These stories show that sports are as much mental as physical. Athletes and coaches who master the psychological side of competition can tilt matches in their favor, even without superior talent. They understand their opponents' minds, how players respond under pressure, how they react to visual cues, and how quickly assumptions can override judgment. Tactics that create confusion, hesitation, or distraction can change the outcome of a game. Whether it's a legal deception or a bizarre routine, psychological warfare reveals a deeper truth. Many battles in sports are won not on the field but in the mind. And sometimes those tactics begin to blur the line between cleverness and cheating, a subject explored in the next section. Subscribe for more wild stories where strategy meets insanity. This is just the warm-up. Some of the strangest tactics in professional sports live in a gray area between legality and ethics. These strategies follow the letter of the rules but often violate the spirit of fair play. They leave fans, officials, and fellow athletes uneasy, and sometimes outraged. One of the most infamous cases was the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, a scandal known as Crashgate. Renault drivers Fernando Alonso and Nelson Piquet Jr. started in poor positions, 15th and 16th. Team leaders Flavio Briatore and Pat Simmons devised a high-risk plan to change the race's outcome. On lap 12, Alonso made an early and unusual pit stop that seemed tactically odd. 2 laps later, Piquet Jr. crashed deliberately into a barrier, triggering the safety car. As all other drivers were forced to pit, Alonso, who had already done so, gained the lead and ultimately won the race. Behind the scenes, Piquet Jr. had been told to crash on purpose. He complied under threat of losing his place on the team. The plan worked, but at a dangerous cost. Deliberately crashing at high speeds put not just Piquet but also other drivers, marshals, and spectators at risk. The conspiracy stayed hidden for over a year until Piquet exposed it after being dropped from the team in 2009. Briatore and Simmons denied wrongdoing, but the evidence was overwhelming. Both were banned from Formula One, Briatore initially for life, later reduced to 5 years, and Simmons for 5 years. Though there was no specific rule against deliberate crashing at the time, the act undermined the principles of safety and fairness. It showed how far some would go to bend the rules for an advantage. Rule exploitation doesn't always involve danger. Sometimes, it just defies logic. In 2015, during a Premier League match against Queen's Park Rangers, Manchester United manager Louis van Gaal had centre-back Phil Jones take corner kicks. This puzzled everyone. United had experienced set-piece takers like Wayne Rooney, Juan Mata, and Angel Di Maria. Yet Jones, better known for his defensive skills and awkward expressions, delivered all the corners. Analysts speculated it might have been to confuse QPR's defenders or try a different delivery angle. But the results were poor. Most of Jones's corners failed to clear the first defender or lacked accuracy. United won the match 2-0, but the set pieces had little to do with the goals. Van Gaal was known for quirky tactics. He had previously played Marouane Fellaini as a winger, Wayne Rooney in midfield, and Marcus Rashford as a fullback. These decisions, while within the rules, often defied common football logic and were more confusing than effective. Van Gaal's approach showed how flexibility and positional rules could be used or misused in pursuit of a tactical edge. In American football, equipment manipulation became the center of a massive scandal. During the 2015 AFC Championship game, the New England Patriots beat the Indianapolis Colts 45-7. Later, officials found that 11 of 12 footballs used by the Patriots were underinflated. League rules require footballs to be between 12.5 and 13.5 psi. The Patriots' balls were between 10.5 and 11.5. Underinflated balls are easier to grip, throw, and catch, especially in cold weather. The NFL concluded it was more probable than not that the Patriots had deflated the balls on purpose, and that quarterback Tom Brady was aware. The league fined the team $1 million, took away 2 draft picks, and suspended Brady for 4 games. The Patriots denied the allegations, arguing that temperature or natural use might have caused the pressure drop. Still, the incident revealed how teams seek marginal gains through equipment manipulation, an area difficult to monitor or enforce consistently. Unlike doping, which is easily tested, equipment tampering often goes unnoticed unless someone complains or a specific inspection is done. The Deflategate scandal became a symbol of how teams might push rules until they're caught. Perhaps the most advanced form of rule exploitation has emerged in cycling, mechanical doping. This involves hiding miniature motors inside bicycle frames to give riders a power boost. These motors weigh less than 2 pounds and can provide up to 250 watts of power. They're activated remotely, operate silently, and are nearly undetectable. Since cycling regulations focus mostly on drug use and weight limits, these motors slipped under the radar. The first high-profile case came in 2016 when Belgian cyclist Femke van den Driessche was caught with a hidden motor during the Cyclocross World Championships. The scandal forced cycling authorities to introduce scanning equipment and harsher penalties. Mechanical doping demonstrated that cheaters are often ahead of the rule enforcers. These tactics are subtle, technologically advanced, and designed to exploit regulatory blind spots. Even with new detection tools, the threat of mechanical cheating remains. These examples, from deliberate crashes and corner kick confusion to underinflated footballs and motorized bikes, reveal the ongoing tension between innovation and integrity in sports. Athletes and teams constantly hunt for any legal edge, often venturing into morally questionable areas. While some tactics spark admiration for their cleverness, others provoke backlash for their dishonesty or danger. Sports authorities face the difficult task of writing rules that preserve fairness while still allowing room for creativity and evolution. The challenge is keeping up with innovations that bend, but don't break, the rules, and knowing when those tactics cross the line into outright cheating. In the end, the integrity of competition depends on more than just the rulebook. It relies on a shared sense of fairness, something that no loophole or workaround should be allowed to erase. Some of the strangest tactics in professional sports involve bold risks that push athletes and teams to the edge of what's physically and strategically possible. These high-stakes gambles can lead to glory or disaster, with consequences that often go far beyond a single match or tournament. Under manager Vincent Kompany, Bayern Munich adopted one of the most aggressive football formations ever, the 2-4-4. Traditional strategy calls for at least 3 defenders, but Kompany flipped the script. He deployed only 2 center backs, with fullbacks pushed into midfield and 4 attackers up front. This created constant pressure. Opponents struggled to keep possession in their own half. Bayern overwhelmed teams with numbers in attack, often pinning them back and scoring in bunches. The system relied on fullbacks occupying central channels, center backs covering wide areas, and the goalkeeper acting as a sweeper. It resembled a fast break in basketball more than standard football. The rewards were huge. Bayern became top scorers in Europe and dominated possession. But the risks were just as big. If opponents broke through the press, they faced only 2 defenders, often in one-on-one situations. A single mistake could lead to a goal. To reduce these risks, Kompany emphasized strict positional discipline and flexible transitions. The formation could shift mid-game, allowing players to drop into deeper roles if needed. Still, the 2-4-4 was a bet that relentless offense could outweigh defensive fragility, a strategy that could either reshape football or collapse under pressure. In individual sports, risky innovation often comes from players who rethink the game entirely. Bryson DeChambeau, nicknamed the mad scientist of golf, did just that at the 2020 Arnold Palmer Invitational. The 6th hole at Bay Hill is a par 4 shaped around a large lake, traditionally played with a safe tee shot and a second iron shot to the green. DeChambeau ignored convention and attempted to drive the green directly, launching the ball over a 340-meter wide stretch of water. The move was made possible by months of intense physical training and custom equipment. DeChambeau bulked up, increased swing speed, and fine-tuned his gear to maximize distance. When he hit the shot, the ball flew over the lake and landed around 60 meters from the green, setting up an easy wedge approach. Though he didn't reach the green in one, the strategic advantage was massive. His willingness to take that risk showed how specialized preparation and confidence can turn unlikely ideas into real gains. At the 2020 Masters tournament, Jon Rahm pulled off one of the most improbable shots in golf history, a hole-in-one by skipping the ball across water. During a practice round at Augusta National's 16th hole, Rahm aimed low, bouncing the ball across the pond like a skipping stone. It skipped 3 times, landed on the green, and rolled straight into the cup. The shot required perfect spin, speed, and angle. Any miscalculation would have sent the ball into the water or over the green. Rahm succeeded, producing a viral moment with over 11 million views. Though it was only a practice shot, the moment highlighted how extreme creativity, even bordering on absurdity, can create magic in sport. It was a perfect example of a high-risk gamble executed with total precision. Dangerous gambles aren't limited to individuals. In a North London derby against Chelsea, Tottenham were reduced to 9 men after 2 red cards. Most managers would have parked the bus and played defensively. Ange Postecoglou did the opposite. He kept Tottenham's high defensive line, pressing Chelsea as if his team still had 11 players. This seemed reckless, leaving massive space for Chelsea to exploit. But Postecoglou stuck to the system his players knew. Changing to an unfamiliar defensive strategy might have caused confusion. By pressing high, Spurs could still disrupt Chelsea's rhythm and create counterattacks. The gamble almost worked. Spurs generated dangerous chances and kept the match competitive longer than expected. Chelsea eventually won 4-1, but their goals came through moments of individual brilliance, not systematic breakdowns. Postecoglou's decision earned respect. It showed that sometimes the boldest move is refusing to abandon your principles, even under extreme pressure. Across sports, these examples reveal a common theme. Elite performance often lives on the razor's edge. Coaches and athletes who dare to push limits, tactically, physically, or mentally, can transform games. Bayern's formation, Dechambeau's monster drive, Rahm's impossible ace, and Postecoglou's commitment to pressing all share a belief in controlled risk. Each gamble involved careful preparation, deep understanding of systems, and absolute trust in execution. But with such risks, the margin for error is tiny. One bad touch, one misread bounce, or one lapse in positioning can turn brilliance into disaster. Still, it's these moments when the stakes are highest and the odds are longest that define greatness. Dangerous gambles show the courage it takes to chase victory when the safe path offers only mediocrity. And while some risks redefine the game, others cross a line. As we'll explore in the next section, not every gamble is heroic. Some threaten the very foundations of sport itself. This final category examines tactics that go beyond acceptable competition, challenging the core values of fair play and human decency. These strategies show what happens when the obsession with winning erases ethical boundaries. In Argentina, polo is a billion-dollar industry. The pressure to win has led to a controversial practice, cloning horses. Adolfo Cambiaso, one of the sport's greatest players, uses cloned ponies to gain an edge. His team, La Dolfina, has won numerous tournaments with horses cloned from a legendary mare named Quarta. The process involves selecting top-performing horses and replicating them genetically. The clones are said to be healthier, more consistent, and provide predictable performance. Many of Cambiaso's horses are genetic copies, designed not through breeding but through scientific replication. This raises serious ethical concerns. Cloned horses are treated like replaceable tools, not living beings. The practice commodifies animals and favors teams with access to advanced technology and wealth. Polo becomes less about skill and more about science and money. Cloning offers no test of human ability or horsemanship. It creates an uneven playing field and shifts the focus away from competition toward genetic engineering. The sport risks losing its soul in the pursuit of perfection. In cycling, cheating has evolved from drugs to hidden technology. Mechanical doping involves placing tiny motors inside bikes to give riders an invisible boost. These devices weigh under 2 pounds and can add up to 250 watts of power, activated remotely and used silently during races. The motors are hard to detect. They can be hidden in frames, disguised as battery packs, and blended with legitimate gear like electronic shifting and power meters. This makes enforcement difficult, especially in fast-paced race conditions. In 2016, cyclist Femke van den Driessche was caught using a motor at the Cyclocross World Championships. The revelation proved that mechanical doping had moved from rumor to reality. It forced cycling authorities to improve detection methods and increase penalties. This type of cheating shows how technology can undermine fair play. When innovation becomes a tool for deception instead of improvement, the spirit of sport suffers. Athletes win not through training or effort, but through hidden machines, erasing the merit of performance. Perhaps the most extreme example of tactical corruption occurred in Formula One. The 2008 Singapore Grand Prix exposed a deliberate crash designed to fix the race. Renault team leaders Flavio Briatore and Pat Simmons instructed driver Nelson Piquet Jr. to crash at turn 17. The goal was to trigger a safety car that would benefit teammate Fernando Alonso, who had already pitted. The plan worked. Alonso won and Renault earned its first win in 2 years. The crash was planned during strategy meetings. Piquet Jr., fearing for his job, agreed to risk his life. He had to crash hard enough to stop the race, but not so hard that he would be injured, a dangerously thin margin. The plan succeeded and remained secret for over a year. But the toll was immense. Piquet Jr. suffered psychological harm, and the stunt endangered other drivers, marshals, and spectators. The safety car, meant to protect lives, was used as a weapon. When the truth came out, it shocked the sports world. Briatore received a lifetime ban, later reduced, and Simmons was suspended for 5 years. The scandal showed how desperation to win can override all ethical and safety considerations. These examples expose how far some will go in the name of victory, from cloning animals and using hidden motors to risking human lives. Each case illustrates how competitive drive, when left unchecked, leads to corruption and harm. When science, power, or deception take the place of skill and integrity, the essence of sport fades. Cloning turns animals into equipment. Mechanical doping replaces training with technology. Crashgate showed that some would risk death to manipulate a result. The challenge for sports lies in drawing the line between innovation and exploitation. Rules alone aren't enough. Ethical responsibility must guide athletes, coaches, and institutions. Sport should be a celebration of human effort, resilience, and fair play, not a battleground for those willing to cheat at any cost. The weirdest tactics in professional sports force us to question the nature of competition. How far should athletes go to win? When does innovation become exploitation? How do we balance the drive for advantage with the need for fair play? There are no easy answers. As sports evolve, so will the tactics. Future innovations, fueled by technology and pressure to succeed, will likely surpass what we've seen so far. With each advancement comes a greater need to protect the core values of sport: fairness, respect, and honest effort. So next time you watch a match, remember, behind every move is a chance for innovation that could reshape the game, for better or worse. The weirdest tactics remind us that the most unforgettable moments often come from pushing the limits of what we thought possible. Thanks for being with us. Leave a comment, like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more exciting videos. See you next time. What if I told you that some of the most shocking moments in sports